Morning you guys, it's Karen and I'm here to do a video on the differences between HPR, retinol and tretinoin or Retin A. So what links these three items? Well, they are all vitamin A or forms of vitamin A. Retinol is vitamin A. Retinoic acid, which is tretinoin or Retin A, is the acid form of vitamin A. Then you have Hydroxy Pinacalone Retinoate, which is HPR or Granactive Retinoid, and that is a vitamin A ester. So it is a form of vitamin A. Vitamin A is required for normal healthy skin and many other processes, but the skin is mainly what we're talking about today. And as we age particularly, vitamin A in our skin is destroyed by light, and the result of that is we get pigmentation, we get wrinkles, we get fine lines, we get a different texture to our skin, aging skin basically. So that's why we'd want to replace the vitamin A stores in our skin to, prevent the degradation of the vitamin A in our skin and also perhaps to heal the damage already done. So I am going to talk for each of these three products. I'm going to talk about what the research is, what the products are out there, and what the advantages and disadvantages are to each one. And then at the end, I'll tell you which one I think is best for particular situations and circumstances. So the first one is Retin A. I have got my notes here. Of course, I've always got my notes in front of me, so don't forget to tell you anything. So the first one we're talking about is tretinoin, which is what is in Retin A, and it's sometimes just talked about as Retin A. It is a retinoic acid, or all-trans retinoic acid is what it's also known as. This is one that doesn't need to be converted into anything in your skin. It will attach directly to the retinoic acid receptors and begin to work. You can get this in a strength of 0.02%, 0.025%, 0.05% and 0.1%. I don't know if there's a 0.3% available anywhere. I've never seen one, but there may well be. Regarding research, there is tons of research on tretinoin. It has been proven as an anti-ager. It has been proven as the best anti-ager out of all of these products we're talking about. It has the most research behind it, and it has the most long-standing independent research behind it. But there is also research continuing in the area of side effects and potential dangers of it. And you guys know I did that video on talking about a study that had happened, and there's research going on because of these little signifiers of possible dangerous effects from it. There are also some long-term safety studies on tretinoin, but as with anything, new things are found all the time. Research continues, things can turn around. It's something that you thought was healthy can suddenly become a danger, but as far as we know just now, it seems to be safe and effective. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of using tretinoin or Retin A? The advantage is that it is proven. There is evidence there to show that it definitely works. So you're not using something hoping that it will work. If you can stick with it, it's most likely that you will see a result with it. As well as being proven, this is the one that will produce the quickest results and the one that is the strongest. When I say quick results, you're still going to have to wait months. It's not something that's going to happen within days, but this is the one if you are in a hurry to get anti-aged and can put up with the disadvantage that I'll talk about, then this is the one you'll probably get the quickest results with. So far it sounds great, but what are the disadvantages? Well, the first one is that this is a prescription only product, and that means that in the USA you will, I believe, have to go to a dermatologist and get it prescribed for you. In the UK that is not quite as simple because most of us don't see dermatologists, we see a GP, and you would have to get a referral to a dermatologist. It's not something that you can just go and pay for it, but there's a few more steps to it in the UK. It's not quite as easy, and I don't know if it would be prescribed for anti-aging in the UK. Feel free to let me know if you're in the UK and you have had it prescribed for you. I know that what you can do is phone, I think it's called Skin Station. It's the one I talked about in the how to buy tretinoin from the UK. I think you can phone them and have a discussion on the phone and they will prescribe it for you, but the cost is high. It is about £90 to £100 depending on the strength you want, but it's there or thereabouts, so it's expensive and it's difficult to get hold of. That is the only one option if you want it in the UK, is to well, two options. So try to go to a dermatologist, you'd have to pay your consultation fee and then the cost for the tretinoin, or go to Skin Station. If you are happy to get a foreign version, you can go to the website that I have, which is Farmacia Tristania, and I will leave a link for you below. That is in Andorra, and that's where I got my 3 tubes of tretinoin from. But again, it's something that is not simple because the website is in Spanish, and even the translating, it doesn't completely translate it. So it's just not quite as easy for us in the UK or even in the US to get a hold of tretinoin, because it isn't over the counter, it is prescription. The fact that it's unstable is a disadvantage, and it's not to say that the other items aren't unstable, because anything that is or is related to tretinoin is unstable to an extent. But when I talk about the other 2 products, I'll talk about why they could be more stable. But tretinoin is known to be very, very unstable in light, and so it's very difficult to get something that you know is going to be active and is going to stay active. The fact that this product is toxic and has potential dangers will be a disadvantage for some. And for some people I know that found out about that study will just decide that's it, it's not worth the risk, however small. And so that will be a disadvantage to some people. The biggest disadvantage to tretinoin is the irritated skin, the dry peeling skin. I think this is something that everybody will experience, and a lot of it is down to our human error, if you like. So I had very dry peeling skin due to tretinoin, but it was because I used too much too quickly for my skin. But I think that that is fairly human. I think that a lot of people do that. You want to see results quickly, so you want to use a higher strength, you want to use it more than once a week. Whereas if everybody stuck to the lowest strength and used it once a week until their skin was not flaking or whatever, then possibly the side effects wouldn't be as bad. But there's not many people that are patient enough to do that. And I think even if you are patient enough to use it in the lowest strength, at the once every 2 weeks or whatever it takes to not have flake and peeling skin, you'll still have dry skin. There will still be a side effect because of its very action. So I am using 0.025 once a week and I still have very dry skin. It's not flaking or peeling anymore, but it is very dry. Saying all that, my friend Laurie over 40, you may remember from her being on YouTube, she used Refisa and she didn't have any peeling, any dryness, nothing. And I believe that Refisa is the kind of exception to the rule, but I have never seen any way of actually buying it. You guys in the US can probably get a hold of it, but in the UK I haven't seen any way of getting hold of it, unfortunately. So for products, the products that we are able to get hold of are the Obagi Tretinoin by phoning, I think it's called it's either Skin Station or Skin Store, but I will link it for you, like I said, and having a prescription conversation with them and they will give you a prescription and you can buy it. That's about £100. Or you can buy Retirides, which is the one that I've been buying, which is tretinoin. I've been buying that from Andorra. It costs, including postage, it works out somewhere between the £20–30 mark. Again, it depends on the strength you buy because they have several different strengths. So on to retinol, and remember I said that tretinoin is retinoic acid and it's called all-trans retinoic acid. Retinol, also vitamin A, is known as all-trans retinol. The biggest difference with retinol is it is much weaker than tretinoin, but it is still a vitamin A, but it needs to convert into retinoic acid. So you've got all-trans retinol converts to retinaldehyde, and then retinaldehyde converts to retinoic acid. So whereas tretinoin is already converted, you need to convert retinol in the skin. Retinol is available in many different strengths. Even from the ordinary, you can get 0.2%, 0.5%, 1%. There are lots of other products out there that just have retinol in and don't announce how much is in their product, so it's probably less than 0.5, 0.2%. And then there is, I believe, a 2% night oil that has retinol in it. So there are varying strengths out there for retinol. So what's the research for retinol? There is, again, lots of research. And basically you can take the research for tretinoin and apply it to retinol, but that it will have less irritation, but it will take longer to work because retinol does become retinoic acid, which is tretinoin. So the research applies, but it just will take a lot longer. That's it in simple terms, although things are perhaps becoming a bit more confused as more research is done. But there is lots of research to show that retinol does work, but the research shows that it is approximately 20 times weaker than tretinoin or Retin A. And in terms of results, they say that tretinoin, whatever you get from tretinoin or Retin A in 1 month, will probably take 3 to 6 months if you're using retinol, but you will get the same results, hopefully with less irritation. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of using retinol? The advantage is it's still proven, as much as is tretinoin. We know that it will work. And another advantage is that most, but not all, but most people have less irritation from retinol. There's no prescription required, and it is much less expensive than tretinoin. So the products from The Ordinary, for example, are, you know, less than £10. And even other products on the market that you can buy are much less expensive than buying Retin A. Another advantage is you don't need a prescription. You can buy it over the counter, and it costs much less. The Ordinary, for example, you can buy any of their retinol products for, I believe they're under a tenner, but they're certainly a lot less expensive than tretinoin, and there are other makes of products out there that are also cheaper. Just as an ingredient in general, it is cheaper than tretinoin. The disadvantages are that you may be one of the few that are more irritated by retinol, and that's where I am at. I have used, and when I say that's where I'm at, I haven't conclusively proven that I can't get on with retinol, because I've only really used the retinol from The Ordinary, so the one in squalane, and I've tried the 0.2%, 0.5% and the 1%. Oh no, I used the one in silicone as well, and all of them made my neck a complete and utter mess. It was red and rashy and my skin was irritated, whereby using tretinoin it may be dry and flaky, but thus far I've had no irritation at all. The only other disadvantage with retinol is you may have to wait to see the results that you would get if you were using the stronger tretinoin. Okay, so products that you can use with retinol in them. Obviously, The Ordinary do 3 different strengths of their retinol in squalane. So they've got 0.2%, 0.5% and 1%. Those are the ones that did cause me terrible problems, as did their one in silicone, but I don't think they do that anymore. So just be aware of that. But I know that other people did have issues with that, but there are also some people that had no peeling, no irritation at all. So that's going to be down to your skin type, so just be careful. There is also one by Philosophy that I believe is loved the world round. I haven't personally tried it, and I think that one has a 1% concentration. So Philosophy, I can't remember the name of it, but I'm going to link these products for you. The final retinol product that I've heard loads of great things about is the Peter Thomas Roth one. It's 2%, it's a nighttime, I think it might be a serum, and that is one that I would love to try, and is something I would consider if I stopped using the serum. And I'll tell you at the end of this what my plan would be and kind of is around these products. Okay, on to the final one, which is HPR or Granactive Retinoid. And this is a new and innovative product, but it is not a retinoic acid. It's not a retinoid, it's a retinoid ester. Let's firstly talk about the words and the terms. So Granactive Retinoid is the solution that is sold to companies. And Granactive Retinoid is made up of Hydroxy Pinacalone Retinoate, which is the new retinoid ingredient, and in with that is dimethyl isosorbide, and that is a ratio of 10 to 1. So for example, if you're buying the Ordinary Granactive Retinoid 5%, what you're actually buying is a 0.5% HPR, 0.5% concentration of Hydroxy Pinacalone Retinoate, which is the novel retinoid. There's 2 really important things to tell you here. Number 1 is that it is believed, although this is an ester, so therefore in theory would be weaker, it doesn't actually need to be converted at all in the skin, but attaches directly to the retinoid, the retinoic acid receptors. So it attaches in a similar way to tretinoin, but because it is a weaker version than tretinoin, it causes less irritation. So that's why there's so much excitement around it. It's really important to note that if you buy a 5% Granactive Retinoid, it will be 0.5% HPR. That has no equivalent in tretinoin. 0.5% in HPR, we don't know how that compares to tretinoin, but it is much weaker. It certainly isn't even comparable to the 0.05% tretinoin. From its side effects and how gentle it is, it would be estimated to be less than a 0.025% tretinoin or Retin A. So there is no equivalency. There's no way you can measure it against tretinoin currently. I do think that a lot of people are using HPR thinking that they are using an equivalent product to tretinoin, and that just isn't the case, because it is weaker and it is in theory showing that it may work, but there is as yet no evidence. Okay, so what is the research for HPR? There isn't any independent research at all. So the research that has been done by the companies that have created and are selling this product, which is not in the research world considered concrete evidence, and neither have they used independent sources. The research that I have seen done has been a lot on the irritation side of things, and it does seem to be concluded that it is definitely less irritating, and that's the feedback I get from people that have used it, and I certainly found no irritation at all with the retinoid products I used. But for aging, there just isn't any research and there is no proof. It does look promising because you look at it and in theory it should work, but in practice it has not yet been tested to its fullest. There are small studies done by the people that sell it that show promise in aging. So what are the advantages for HPR? There are a lot of advantages because it is very unlikely to cause irritation. When I did the review of the ordinary products, very few people told me they had irritation. There were people, but very, very few. And those that did, it was just a little bit of peeling or a little bit of irritation. It's less expensive than any of the tretinoin products. It's about on a par with the retinol products, certainly from the ordinary. So lots of advantages, but what are the disadvantages? Again, there aren't many disadvantages to this product, but the big one disadvantage there is that there's no proof, there's no evidence. And so you are using a product that there is no long-term safety data on. There is no proof that it's actually going to work. It could be just something you are using that feels nice, that never has any effect, and that could have some side effects that are not yet known in the future. For products with HPR in it, probably the most well-known one is the Lunar Oil, the Sunday Riley Lunar Oil. I still have that. I didn't feel that did anything for my skin at all. It's a very strong scent. It has blue dye in it. I don't think it's a great product and it's extremely expensive, but that is one of the most well-known, and some people adore it and found it did do great things for their skin. That could be down to the other ingredients in it, because HPR doesn't have a percentage listed on it. Another product that I would like to try is the Mad Hippie retinoid product, which is Granactive Retinoid. And I don't think that has levels listed on it. I honestly think that strengths regarding HPR at this stage are irrelevant. I feel like it is just confusing to sell a 5% Granactive Retinoid that is actually only 0.5% HPR, and that 0.5% just has no bearing on anything, because there is no research, independent or otherwise, showing what strengths should be used. This is what will be worked on in research over the next couple of years. And I know that for the ordinary, they're selling different strengths, but I feel like it should be, you know, this is regular strength and this is extra strength or something like that, because those figures just don't, I think they will just confuse people, because they aren't equivalent to anything else at all. So there's the Mad Hippie one with no percentage, but from the ordinary you can buy three different products. You can buy the 2% Granactive Retinoid in squalane, which will be 0.2% HPR. You can buy the 5% Granactive Retinoid, which will be 0.5% HPR, not equivalent to anything in retinol, anything in tretinoin. And those will both be pretty stable because they're in squalane oil, or as stable as you can get for a vitamin A product. And you can also get a 2% advanced retinoid emulsion from the ordinary. But this one is very interesting because it also has retinol in it, encapsulated retinol, and it's a very low level of retinol. But if I were to recommend an HPR product, I personally would say go for the 2% advanced retinol emulsion and avoid the ones in squalane, because I feel like the marketing is directed at making people feel that it's because it's in squalane that it's not causing the irritation. And that is simply not the case, because the little bit of research that has been done is showing that Hydroxy Pinacalone Retinoate is not as irritating, regardless of whether it's with squalane or not. And so in the emulsion at 2%, it will be the same level of not irritating as anything else, but it is mixed with retinol, which is proven. So if you want to use something that is not as irritating but has something in it that is proven, then I would say go for the 2% Granactive Retinoid Emulsion. So those are the 3 products, and it's not to say that they are the only 3 products, because I literally could have done HPR versus retinol versus retinoid versus retinol retinoate versus retinaldehyde. There are many other retinoids out there, and retinol esters, retinoid esters, etc. But I'm comparing the top 3 that have the most buzz about them at the moment and that are available in products, because retinol retinoate I think is a great product. Retinaldehyde I think would be a good product, but they are in very few products. Retinaldehyde is in an Avene product, but not one that we can get in the UK, for example, and I don't know of any other product that has retinaldehyde in it. Adapalene is another one that I haven't mentioned, but I have already done a whole video on adapalene or differin. That one is also not yet proven for aging, but there is promising research coming out in that area. So I can and will do more videos, is what I'm saying, on those individual products, you know, so on retinaldehyde, on retinol retinoate, on retinol palmitate. That's something that interests me anyway, so I'm sure to do more on that in the future. But regarding these 3 products, let me tell you who and what I think would be most suited to what, and what I would do if I stopped tretinoin, or what I intend to do. So for budget, if you are not wanting to spend a huge amount of money, then obviously the retinol and HPR products are much more achievable, much more inexpensive. The only thing I would say about that is, although you may spend £20–30, for example, on a tretinoin cream that you are ordering, if you're in the UK, you're ordering it from outside the UK, it will last a lot longer because you're unlikely to be using it every day. Whereas if you buy a £5 bottle of, or a £5 or £6 bottle of retinoid from The Ordinary, you may use that up within a couple of weeks. I'm not sure how long it would last, but you're going to be using it every day. So you need to have a think about how long a tube would last using it once a week versus how long a bottle would last in terms of price. If you have sensitive skin or have had any type of reaction, dry skin to retinols or retinoids, then HPR is probably a good one for you to use. And it's also probably good for a beginner, just to use something that may have some benefit and see how your skin reacts to that. Because like I said, there are a couple of people that did have a little bit of irritation and a little bit of dryness from using HPR, but most people don't. So it's a good product to start with. Then I would say you could either add in or replace your HPR with the lowest level of retinol. If you're looking for something that is proven and 100% works, then it's tretinoin or retinol. But if you want the results really quickly, it would be tretinoin. If you're prepared to wait and you're looking at long-term goals, then retinol would be absolutely acceptable, and you may have less irritation from it. My thoughts for myself are that I am currently using tretinoin, but I'm only using it once a week. And so I would not mind introducing an HPR into my regime, because an HPR, as I said, is not yet proven, and that could turn out to be, an amazing product, but it could turn out that people, you know, we could find 2 years down the line, everybody that's been using it for 2 years might end up getting, I don't know, skin tags or discoloration, or there could be anything comes from using it. But it could also be that, yes, it's now proven and we've all been using it for years, so hurrah. As I've said before, I am a little bit of a risk taker, and having used the product, I didn't feel any irritation from it at all. And so I feel like it would be a good one to use on the days I'm not using tretinoin. And I know some people will disagree because you'll think I'm mixing the two, but I just feel like it's such a benign ingredient, it's so weak that I don't feel there's an issue. And my choice would be the one with retinol in it, but that does add another layer. That would be me then using tretinoin, HPR and retinol, even though it's the tiniest amount. So I've not done anything about that just now, but I have been considering buying the 2% emulsion, because I'm then getting the tiny bit of retinol, I'm getting the HPR. I love that as a product, I loved it as a serum. It really made my skin feel good, and so I can feel the results of that, and I will watch with interest the research. If I stopped using tretinoin, if I just couldn't bear the dryness anymore, then I would look to use a retinol and an HPR. I would like to keep the HPR in my regime because I think it's unlikely I would find a retinol I could use every day. Like I said, my experience so far shows me that I'm a bit, my skin is reactive to retinol, but I would probably get the 2% Peter Thomas Roth retinol serum, and then on the days I wasn't using that, I would use the 2% retinoid by The Ordinary, because that has that tiny bit of retinol in it as well. I wouldn't be able to tell you how often I would use the Peter Thomas Roth serum until I tried it to see how my skin reacted, and I don't want to try it just now because I am using tretinoin, and that for me would be too much for my skin. Although saying that, you know, I have said in my retinoid update that I'm currently using 0.025% once a week, and I have no peeling, no irritation, nothing at all. And other than my skin is dry, it's drier than it normally would be. So I guess I could add in a 2% retinol serum and see what difference that makes. And maybe that's a milder way to have a regime rather than using the 0.025 twice a week. You know, maybe spreading your bets is an easier way of doing things. Anyway, I will keep you updated with whatever I order and whatever I use. I hope that this has been interesting and not too boring. I know this will probably be a long video. I have been trying to do shorter, more succinct videos lately, but these skincare ones like this, there isn't any way to cut it down really, to give you all the information, you know. So I would love to hear your thoughts on all of this, and what one you would like to see next. Which ingredient would you like me to talk about next? I do have ceramides on the list. That's really interesting for me to talk about, and a few of you have left some requests, so I have got a list ready to go. I just need the time to research them. I'll list all of my makeup in the description below. Thank you so much for watching today, and I'll speak to you soon.